Here we go. All right, welcome to family orientation. So first start, pat yourself on the back. You got a spot in the lottery, and so now it's about making a decision. All right, so we're gonna go over a bunch of things. We'll do a program overview, which will likely be some repeat information. We're gonna talk about how we support your scholar with the transition, and we're gonna talk about the letter of intent, and then again, we'll have question time at the end. So just an important date. Hopefully you already have this somewhere in your home on a flyer or in your calendar in your phone, but that letter of intent, you're not officially enrolled at DeLago until we have this. So if you are definitely accepting your spot, make sure that we get this by 4:30 on Friday. Our mission at DeLago is to prepare future scholars, innovators, and world citizens. And then our core beliefs include authentic learning, personalization, an ethic of excellence, and skilled professional staff. And I know lots of organizations have a mission and core belief, but one thing that sort of sets DeLago aside is we truly believe this. And we talk about our mission all the time as a staff. And when we're making decisions, we always go back to this. And we, things like authentic learning, that kids are engaging in real world problems, and the content is based in like their lives. Personalization, we really want to get to know your kid as a person. So we're going to ask them lots of questions. Your teachers are going to try everything they can to connect with them, because we really believe that if we have a relationship and we know your scholar, they are going to learn better from us. An ethic of excellence kind of speaks for itself, but the idea that we're always being the best and sort of holding ourselves to high standards. And then our skilled professional staff. Our staff at DeLago is really the magic to our school. I've worked in a lot of, in my previous position, I was at a district level admin position, so I worked across 9 different schools. And I then worked in another school in California before coming to DeLago, and I have never worked in a place like this. The staff care so much about your kids, and they work so hard. And our culture is incredibly positive and caring. It's a great place to work, and it trickles down to the kids. And the kids really benefit from that positivity from our adults. We do have what we call pillars. Part of our mission that to create scholars, innovators, world citizens means that we have to have clear expectations for our scholars. Like, what does that look like? What does that mean? So to do that, we have what we call pillars. And these really are what create the culture that we have at DeLago. And they include welcome, do no harm, choice words, never too late to learn, and be the best. And again, just like our mission, I think lots of places have pillars, or they'll have, the code that they live by. But at DeLago, we do it. We talk about these all the time. We have, we'll talk about advisory later, but it's something we do once a week, and we are constantly reinforcing this. And teachers are reinforcing it in the classroom. When we're here on campus, we're reinforcing it in the hall. So our culture is really important to us, and it's why we've been so successful. Why is it not switching? Okay, so now we're going to jump into our course pathway. This is probably repeat, but I want to go over it again before you make your decision as a family. So we are a single pathway school, which means that you will not be picking your scholar's courses. Your scholar will not be picking their courses. We have already designed them for them. So all scholars take the same courses, and it's set up for your scholar to earn A to G, which are the requirements to attend a four-year college. And that way your scholar has all the doors open to them when they leave our school, because there's a lot of different choices when you graduate high school, between 2-year college, 4-year college, military. There's a lot of cool voc tech programs, and we want all those doors open. So we are set up for everyone to have A to G when they graduate. So looking at 9th grade, they're going to take English language arts. They're going to take science, which is PBS the first semester, and HBS, human body systems, the second semester. They will take a course we call exercise nutrition science, which is like a combination of health and gym. And then they'll take math 1. They also have advisory, which is, I mentioned it before, but it's once a week, and it's a mixed grade level class. So they're with 9th through 12th graders, and a teacher, and they stay together their entire DeLago experience. So every year they'll have the same advisory teacher and the same advisory classmates, except for when the seniors leave, new freshmen come in. And it's meant to be kind of a hub. It's their family at DeLago. It's this long-term relationship because, again, we care a lot about relationships because it's based in research that if we know your kid really well, we're more likely to support them and make sure that they're learning. And then the last class is exploratory block. We call it X block. And this is just a fun elective. So it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the end of the day, and it is just for fun. It's a 1-credit course. It's meant to be low stress. It's things like ASB, engineering, but it also could be cooking or soccer. We've had arts and crafts. And then also we have intervention at that time. So if a student needed some help in math, maybe they're in the gaming X block, but we move them to math for a couple weeks. And then when they get caught up, we can move them back to gaming. So it's a place also where they can get extra help. So in addition to the single pathway, we also structure our classes differently than most high schools. So again, something to think about when you're making your decision. So there's going to be about 200 kids in 9th grade, a little bit more. And we take them and we split them in half into 2 villages. And so your scholar will be, and with approximately 100 other kids, will have all the same teachers. They'll have the same English teacher, science teacher, ENS teacher. And then there's 3 math teachers aligned with that village. And the way it works is, you can kind of see in this slide. So the 3 teachers, we call it the interdisciplinary team. They have a common prep. And so let's say they have 3rd period is their prep. So during 3rd period, all of the students that are in their village go to math. And there's 3 different math classes. And what that allows our teachers to do when they have a common prep is they can plan together every day. And so we do what we call interdisciplinary projects. They're really cool. Where like in 10th grade, they do a museum project where they have to take a science concept and teach it to a 3rd grader using a museum exhibit. So in their English class, they're figuring out the writing for it. And in their science class, they're learning about the science standard. And then in their art class, they're actually designing the museum thing. And in order to do that, the kids need to be in what we call cohorts. So we take that 100 kids and we actually divide them into 3 groups. So your scholar at DeLago would have a class of 35 and they stay together all day. They go to English together, they go to math together, they go to ENS together, and then they go to science together. And it is extremely effective. So it allows them to do those projects because they're together in all their classes. It also is incredibly good for building relationships. And the research is pretty clear that if your student has strong relationships at school and they're more connected to school, they will learn more. So this cohort model allows our teachers to get to know the kids really well. It allows the kids to get to know each other really well. And then they feel very safe and they're more likely to take educational risks. And it's interesting. I think sometimes people hear this model and they're like, oh, high school kids wouldn't like that. And you might be thinking, oh, I don't know if my kid would like being with the same 35 kids all day. And if you talk to our seniors, because our seniors are no longer in cohorts, they want cohorts back. They're like, oh, we miss cohorts. We want our cohorts back. Because what they'll tell you is it starts to feel like a family. And that's really what we're going for. We want kids to feel connected. Okay. So 10th grade is very similar, except for now they're taking English and world history together in what we call Humanities 10. And then a science course, biochemistry, principles of design it's like a really cool course. They do kind of more, and one of the teachers is here, so I'll probably say it all wrong, but they do like traditional art the first semester, like drawing, painting, they do chalk. I think they do charcoal, I don't know, but they do like kind of more, that kind of art. And then second semester, they do digital art, which when you think about the world that we're moving towards is incredibly valuable skills. They learn how to use Illustrator and Photoshop. And it's also a CTE pathway. So that's a cool thing in 10th grade. And then they take Math 2 and of course, Advisory and X Block. 11th grade, again, very similar. Their humanities course is English 11 and US History. They take Biochem 2. they will take Spanish, and they will take Math 3. We do start having honors in 11th grade. So that's another thing to know. We do not have honors courses in 9th and 10th grade. But starting in 11th grade, we do. Everyone will take honors humanities, and then science, they can opt into honors. And honors courses are weighted. And if you are thinking, if that makes you nervous, if you're thinking, oh, I don't know if my scholar can do honors, I'm telling you right now, they can. We will get them ready in 9th and 10th grade, and we have a lot of support at DeLago. So we have kids who struggled greatly in middle school who are very successful here because of all the supports we provide, which I will talk about later. And then the final thing about 11th grade is our internship year. So, and internships, hopefully you already know about them, but it's like the coolest thing we do at DeLago. They, for 6 weeks in the spring, are not coming to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Instead, they go out and they're doing an internship in some industry that they're interested in. We get them ready all fall. We prepare them. We help them find it. So if you're like, oh my God, how do they get it? We help them. And then during the time that they're in the internship, they have an adult who's checking in with them and making sure things are going well. They learn so much. Think about how much you learned like the first couple weeks you were actually in your job. So they're getting that real world experience, and it's really motivating for them. 12th grade's a little different. We no longer have villages or cohorts, and they have a little choice. So everyone takes Humanities 12, which now is AP English Language Arts, Government and Economics. Yes, everyone takes AP. Yes, they all can do it. Everyone takes a science class, but they get to pick physics or medical interventions. Everyone takes a Spanish, but it's Spanish 3 or AP Spanish, depending on where they're at. And actually a kid could take Spanish 3 and AP Spanish. That is also a choice. And then they all choose a math. So there's AP Calc, AP Stats, or transfer to college math. And then they do not do X Block as seniors. They actually get open campus, assuming you sign the form. And then we do another really cool thing. So they do internships as juniors, and then their senior year, they take a course called Advanced Study, and they can continue doing an internship either at the same place or they pick a new one, or they can take a college course. Most of them do it at Palomar, or they can design a senior project. And all three of those, the intent is for them to go deeper in an area that they're super interested in, or a passion they have. And then of course they participate in advisory. So grading is something that is quite a bit different at DeLago. We really focus on skills that scholars need for success after high school. So we've looked at research. We talk with our industry partners about what they're looking for in their future employees. And then we look at the state learning standards, and our teachers use all that information to design a curriculum that your scholar will leave us with skills. Skills for college, skills for the workforce. And to assess whether or not they have those skills, we use what we call competencies. So they could be, sometimes they're tests, but most often they're projects or presentations or some kind of demonstration of learning. And every class is going to have about 4 to 8 of those competencies, and they have to pass them all. They can't pass the course until they've passed all those competencies. And it's 4 to 8 things, which sounds like maybe a small number. They're bigger things, but they're all important. So, I mean, even if, because sometimes the kids are like, well, why don't you just average the grade? Like, just give me the average. But if we move a kid forward with one skill missing, we're moving them up with holes, and that is not in their best interest. So in a lot of ways, learning is mandatory. And if they haven't passed that skill, we give them what we call a no mark. And they'll be put on a success plan with me. I'm the academic dean, that's my job. And we'll make them keep trying over and over until they get it. And it really builds that growth mindset, but also it makes sure they learn, which is really important. We also do something called quality work plan that allows them to raise grades. And at this point in the presentation, you're like, oh my God, this is a lot of information. I don't know if I remember all this. Don't worry about it. This is just like, I'm just giving you the overview. When you're here at DeLago, there will be opportunities to learn more about these things. But the bottom line is they have a lot of control over grades here. Kids can reattempt things as many times as they want until they have the grade that they're looking for. What we care about is that they've learned it to the level they want to learn it. So if you're thinking, oh my God, but my scholar is going to need help. they're going to need support. We have it. We have a lot of support. And it includes tutorial every day after school. So in that village, their math teacher might be on Monday, their English teacher on Tuesday, their ENS teacher on Wednesday, and their science teacher on Thursday. So every day there's going to be someone available to help them. We do have Saturday school some of the time. We have a testing center where they can just take tests that they need to take. And then we have peer tutors. We actually pay our 11th and 12th graders who are successful students to tutor their peers. And they are super professional and they are really good. And that's been highly successful. So they're in tutorials and they can also meet with kids one-to-one. And if you have a kid who's a really strong student, that might be a great job for them when they're an 11th and 12th grader. Okay, I have this little video because no marks are very confusing. So hopefully this will break it down a little better than I can. Except for, oh, it didn't do what I wanted it to do.
Here we are at DeLago, and we are going to walk through a typical scholar's experience with no marks. The scholars, because they need more support, they need more instruction. Oh my goodness gracious, Tessa. Here at DeLago, and we are going to walk through a typical scholar's experience with no marks. This scholar is a 9th grader, and he is so excited to start his freshman year at DeLago. His timeline will represent the school year, the end of term 1, the end of term 2, and the end of summer school. We're going to look at English 9, but you can imagine that this is happening in all 4 classes. So the blue dashes are the competencies, the skills that he must master during the school year. And on the first one, perhaps it's a timed writing piece, he gets a B. Then on a project, he's missing some pieces, he gets a no mark. He gets a C on a presentation, an A on a paper. And in the meantime, he's been going to tutorial, so he clears this no mark and passes it with a B. Then let's say he gets another no mark. And then he ends with a B. So it's the end of the semester. We have 1 no mark left. His grade in the class is a no mark. Some parents sometimes look at this and they think my student is failing. But as you can clearly see, the student is not failing. They actually have a B average, but they have 1 skill that they haven't mastered yet, and it's important. So we're going to require that he keeps working on it. We move on to the next semester. We have new competencies in a new class, but we are expecting that the scholar is going to tutorial, X block, Saturday school to get help on that remaining no mark. The first one, he's a no mark. So kind of a rough start and a C, but never too late to learn. He gets an A, he gets a B, and he clears that no mark from first semester, gets a B on it. So now his grade in that class is a B. Let's say then on the next paper, he gets an A, and then he ends with a no mark. And in the meantime, he's redone this and raised it to an A. So the semester ends. We now have a no mark here, a no mark here. So we have a no mark in the class. So this scholar is going to come to summer school. He's going to go to English 9 on the days it's offered, and he's going to go as many days as he needs to until he finishes the things he hasn't finished. So he'll work on this one until he masters it. Maybe he gets an A, and then he works on this one until he masters it, gets a B. The teacher's going to give him a grade. This is a pretty typical scholar at DeLago. Most scholars will get no marks here and there, and will need a little additional time to clear them. But most scholars only need maybe 1 more term and will have everything done by the end of summer school. We do have some scholars who need the full 2 terms because they need more support, they need more instruction, and when they need it, we give it to them. So hopefully this has demystified no marks a little bit for you, and you understand a little bit better what a typical scholar's journey at DeLago looks like.
Okay. All right. So I was able to see the chat while that was going on. So one of the questions was about like what does their college transcript look like, or their GPA, and the no marks don't count in GPA, but also the no mark is temporary. So they can't keep a no mark on their transcript long term. They have 2 terms to clear it. So if fall ends, they have spring until the end of summer school, basically, to work on those competencies. And then for spring, they would have summer and the next fall. So once that time elapses, if they don't work on the competencies, which is really hard to do here because we will harass them until they do, but let's say they don't do them, they would get an F in the course. So there is like a pretty big consequence for not kind of learning and not taking the time to do that work. If they take the time, we will get them there. So colleges won't get a transcript with a no mark on it. They will get transcripts with final grades. The no mark is just a placeholder. Hopefully that answers that question. All right, so I'm going to share again, go back. I promise there's only a few slides left. We're getting towards the end, and then we'll have time for your questions. Here it is. All right, are you guys seeing the slide or are you seeing presenter view?
We're seeing the presenter view. I mean, we're seeing video and the slide.
You're seeing presenter view, aren't you?
It's presenter.
Okay, is it now the right one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. It's just been a fun day for technology, guys. I'm sure you all understand though. You're all probably living it too. Okay. So speaking of technology, we are a one-to-one school, so your scholar will get an iPad. We have a mandatory meeting to issue them and help you get it set up. Usually that's in person. Last year we had to do it virtually. And so I don't know if it will be virtual or if we'll do maybe in person, but socially distanced. I'm not sure, but know that there will be something that you will attend or watch when you get your iPad to help you set it up. It basically becomes your responsibility once we give it to you. We don't have a lot of rules of, like they bring them to school, they take them home as if it was their own. You keep it on weekends. In the summer, you can check it in for the summer, or you can rent it for this, like just keep it over the summer. I think it's $20 to keep it over the summer. And then at the end of their 4 years at DeLago, you can buy it for a pretty reasonable price. Almost all of our seniors end up buying it. And I will tell you that's 100 times between now and when you get the iPad and even after you get it, but buy the insurance. It's totally worth the money because in 4 years, your scholar will probably break the screen at least once. So it'll save you money in the long run. So make sure you get the insurance. Okay. So I told you a lot of stuff about like our systems and the research that we've looked at and why we do what we do. Our school was really, everything about our school is intentional. We have wheels on our furniture. That was intentional. We have whiteboards everywhere in the classrooms. That was intentional. We use competencies. That was intentional. Advisory was intentional. And so I'm sorry. My point in sharing all this is that it's working. So all those things that we've put in place is working. And if you look at our data, the proof is there. So we have really high pass rates in our courses, our individual courses. So across the board, they're all 80, most of them are 90% or higher. And if you, like, for example, English 9 and Math 1, those are classes that all freshmen take pretty much in all high schools. And they're major gatekeepers for high school graduation and college. If your student doesn't pass those as a freshman, it puts them at serious risk. And if you look at schools around us, not just in our district, in the districts around us, those pass rates are often 50 to 60% for those courses. At our school, it's 90% or higher. So we get kids started off on the right foot as 9th graders, and then it really puts them on the right path. Our graduation rate is 98 to 100%. We were 100% last year, 100% the year before. And even those 1 to 2 that don't make it, we set them up with a plan to get there. And then our A to G rate, this is the rate of kids who are ending their 4 years with us and have all the requirements necessary to attend a 4-year college. So ours is between 82 to 87%. We were 87 last year, 86 the year before. That is an incredibly high number. Again, if you look at the other schools in our area, it's often 40 to 60%. So this is something we're really proud of. And it speaks to the systems we have in place. It speaks to our amazing staff. They're so amazing. And then to your kids, because we have high expectations and we put them in an environment where they can be successful, and the kids rise to the occasion. They do it every year. Some of them, it takes them longer to figure it out, but they all get there. So also just some random little things. I think because we're small and we're a school of choice, they think there's a rumor that we don't have CIF sports. So we do. We do have varsity travel sports. In the fall, there's cross country and girls volleyball. In the winter, there's basketball and soccer. And in the spring, there's lacrosse and boys volleyball. Those are all the sports we have. We don't have other sports because we are smaller, but we do have sports. And we have clubs. We're like any other high school. So we have ASB, drama, Solar Cup, yearbook. And then every year they come up with new ones. So we've had Sandwich Club. We've had, although I always thought they should be called Club Sandwich, but that's just me. We have like an RC club. We have an LGBT club. We have a Ignite club. So we have lots of clubs. And if kids want to start one, they can. The transportation. So we would love to have a bus for everyone. And in fact, every year we're lobbying to get more, but right now we do only have 2 buses, and it serves approximately 100 scholars, and that's determined by a lottery. So the way it works is you submit your letter of intent, and then you register your student in the summer, and that's when you would put your name in the lottery for a spot on the bus. And we draw those names in the summer during registration. So we support your scholar a lot, getting them ready to transition to DeLago. So we have what we call second Saturdays. They used to always be on the second Saturday, but this year it didn't work out that way. So it's a little bit misleading name because some of them are on the first Saturday and some are on the third Saturday. But so these dates, again, you should get them in a flyer, but if you want to write them down now or put them in your calendar, that's a good idea. They'll be virtual, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, but it'll be just like tonight. So there will be a Zoom for the kids and a Zoom for the parents. The kids are mandatory. They need to be there because we go over a lot of really important information. The parents are optional. So for you, it's going to be like meeting the teachers, learning about the classes, meeting each other, just learning about our school. And for the kids, it's going to be the same thing, but a little bit more information, and it's a chance for them to meet each other so that they're starting the year with friends. And we have what we call Link Crew. It's DeLago scholars who help run that. And then the other transition supports will have registration in late July, early August. We do a freshman orientation in August. So it's usually the weekend right before school starts. It's a lot like second Saturdays, and it's just a chance for them to like get in. Hopefully we'll be on campus, to get on campus, get sort of oriented, so that the first day they're not like, oh my God, what do I do? And then we have something called First Four, and this goes back to building our culture. So, and this is also research-based. The first 4 days of school do not do content. We do only culture building, and it's actually incredibly important. So it would be really important for your scholar to be there because we talk about our pillars, we establish our expectations, but it's a lot of the kids talking to each other about it. So the upperclassmen sharing with the underclassmen kind of like how we do things at DeLago. And it's what creates this positive culture at our school that leads to academic success, because then kids feel really bought in. And so that's First Four, and that it helps ease your kid in. So they're going to learn a lot about how DeLago works and where things are and all that in those first 4 days of school. So again, back to this date, the letter of intent is due on Friday, which is coming really fast. So we need to know that you're taking your spot, because if you're not, we need to offer it to kids on the wait list. So make sure you get that to us by 4:30. And
Your